Please take your seats. The meeting is about to begin. Remember to speak into the microphone, as this meeting is being recorded for public record. Please stand by. We are going on air in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning and welcome to the February meeting of the City of Miami Beach Design Review Board. We have a bunch of new members here today, and I'd like to start the meeting by welcoming them formally and asking is it okay if I start with a welcome?
Sure.
Okay. Asking if they could introduce themselves and maybe give us a very brief bio. Do you want to start?
Hello, my name is Akil Lester. I am originally from the Washington, D.C. area. Moved to Miami Beach about 3 years ago. I have a construction and a design and engineering background. I'm working in commercial construction for the past 12 years. I've been a design manager for the past 3 years now. And I just love urban development and urban design, so I applied for the board and got accepted. So here I am.
Well, thank you very much. Welcome.
Thanks.
Good morning, Gabriel Paz. I am here as a resident representative, appointed since I've done multiple boards here at the City of Miami Beach. The day job, I am the director for Miami-Dade County's LGBTQ community. I'm their PR person for LGBTQ affairs at Miami-Dade County, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much and welcome. Proceed.
Sure. Let's start by taking attendance, and I'll just do a roll call since we have some new members. Ms. Butakawali?
Here.
Mr. Diffenderfer?
Here.
Ms. Giller-Nelson?
Here.
Mr. Lester?
Here.
Ms. Lewin?
Here.
And Mr. Paz?
Paz here, President.
We have a quorum. I can confirm we have a quorum. The next item would be City Attorney updates.
Good morning, everyone. Today's meeting of the Design Review Board has been scheduled in a hybrid format, with quorum of the board physically present in the commission chambers at the Miami Beach City Hall, and applicants, staff, and members of the public appearing either in person or virtually via the Zoom platform webinar. In order to participate in today's meeting, those wishing to participate via the Zoom platform webinar may dial 888-475-4499, which is toll-free, and enter the webinar ID, which is 822-7394-1924, or log into the Zoom app and enter the webinar ID, which again is 822-7394-1924. An individual wishing to speak on an item must click the raise hand icon if they're using the Zoom app, or dial *9 if they're participating by phone. Now, before I swear in those that will be testifying, I'm going to read into the record the city's notice regarding lobbyist registration. If you are appearing on behalf of a business, a corporation, or another person, you need to register as a lobbyist with the city's clerk's office. If you haven't registered yet, you should register before you speak to the board. You do not have to register as a lobbyist in 3 limited circumstances. 1, if you're speaking only on behalf of yourself and not any other party. 2, if you're testifying as an expert witness, providing only scientific, technical, or other specialized information or testimony in a public meeting. 3, if you're appearing as a representative of a neighborhood association without any compensation or reimbursement for your appearance to express support of or opposition to any item. Expert witnesses and representatives of neighborhood associations shall, prior to appearing, disclose in writing to the city clerk their name, address, and the principal on whose behalf they are communicating. Now, if you're an architect, attorney, or employee representing an applicant or an objector, you must register as a lobbyist. These rules apply whether you're appearing in favor of or against an item, or encouraging or arguing against its passage, defeat, modification, or continuance. Now, please stand and raise your right hand if you intend to be testifying. Virtual speakers will need to be sworn in at the time of their testimony. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you will be giving in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Right. You may. Okay, you may proceed, Rogelio.
Okay. The next item of the agenda is something we have to do at the beginning of every year, would be the selection of chair and vice chair. So the term lasts for a year. This is the first meeting of the year, so we would need to appoint a chair and a vice chair, and we can accept a motion for somebody, or if you'd like, we can pass out a slip of paper and you can write it down. Either way.
Does, do we, what's normally done? Is there a piece of paper or?
I've seen both. Somebody can just make a motion nominating an individual if there's a second, and then we just have take a quick.
Do we have members that
roll
are
call.
interested?
Yeah.
And you're the chair now?
Yes.
And you're still able to be chair when we're here? So I nominate you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll second
Second.
that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And then vice chair. The vice chair is currently Mr. Diffenderfer.
I'd like to renominate Mr. Diffenderfer.
The
Second.
nomination cannot come from the chair, unfortunately.
I'll move it.
Are you interested also in continuing your, okay, so we nominate Mr. Diffenderfer.
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second? Oh, we have a motion by Ms. Butagawali, second by Mr. Paez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, everyone,
Okay.
for another vote of confidence.
All right. So with that said, I guess we can move along to the request for continuances. We have two requests for continuances. The first one is DRB 24-1040, that's 1500 Bay Road. The request came from the applicant. They're working out some issues with tenants within the building, and so they requested that the item be continued to the March 13th meeting.
Make a motion?
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Diffenderfer, second by Ms. Butagawali, and all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, motion passes. The next item is 4880 Pine Tree Drive. This is an item that was coming before the board for an increase in the height, just 2 feet so that they could get to 28 feet. The item now can be approved administratively as a result of the ordinance that passed last week regarding understory homes. So as a result, the applicant is requesting that the item remain on the agenda just in case there's anything that we missed, so that we don't need to be renoticing the item. But it's likely that it would be withdrawn next week, so.
I actually am an interested party in that case, and I would like to speak, so I would object that it be continued.
Is that okay? Or, okay, well, I guess if you'd like to open the public hearing for the item?
Sure.
Do we first have to approve the minutes of December 10th?
Oh, I apologize, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I make a motion to approve the minutes of December 10th, and were there not January meeting?
The January meeting technically didn't take place, so there are no
Okay.
minutes for the meeting.
I found.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, no, motion passes. Okay. Back to
Do
DRB
we-
24-1068.
Okay, yeah, it's just, we don't have to read anything in, or, no, okay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Beth Colleen Martin. I am the neighbor to the north of 4880. This issue actually came before you in 2020. And under the doctrines of res judicata, it cannot come back in front of you again, and it cannot actually be administratively approved without going before the DRB, because this board made a ruling granting some waivers and denying some waivers, and the applicant did not appeal that decision. So this request right now, where they're asking for a second bite of the apple because they were granted some waivers the last time they were in front of you in 2020, and they were denied the height increase. They were asking for a 4-foot height increase, and they were denied all but 1 foot. So this property appears to be it's a private house, but it appears to be about the height of the JCC. It is extremely out of cohesive with the neighborhood. It is not conducive to an overall neighborhood plan, and we argued this 4 years ago. And the board, in all its wisdom, spent an immense amount of time going through the plans, going through what they were asking for. They were asking for, in addition to, the building's almost 50 feet tall. My house is 24 feet tall. The neighbor on the south side is 24 feet tall. The house across the street just spent millions of dollars renovating the historic property that is also 28 feet tall. Up and down the street, there is nothing this tall. It is huge, it is obtrusive, it is offensive, and there's no reason they need it because they have a 13-foot understory already. They have, on their first floor, they have 13-foot ceilings, plus they have 2 feet of flooring understory. So 13 plus 13 plus 2, plus the second story is also very, very tall. I think it's 12 or 13. Plus they have a rooftop deck with an elevator, and that, of course, projects. And the lot, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna pass out. I submitted these earlier, and I'm sorry, I'm missing the mic.
Thank you.
I apologize for the printer paper, but it is what it is. So if you look at this first picture on here, this is the drawing that I did 4 years ago when this came before you. This was their plan and their request for the waiver that you denied. So first of all, this cannot be administratively approved under any new waivers. They still need a waiver for you. They still need a waiver, and that waiver was denied. And under the very various long-established doctrine of res judicata, they can't have this height increase because you denied it and they did not appeal. And that's the way the legal process works, is if they didn't like it, they could have appealed to a higher court, and that would have gone in. I would have had the right to speak at each and every one of those hearings because I am detrimentally affected by how giant this project is already. It's not just a 4-foot increase or a 2-foot increase or a 3-foot increase, and they're actually asking for a 3-foot. It is the entire project needed waivers over and across the board. So my house is the 4890, the 24-foot tall one that is on the bottom right. The neighbor to the south is the 24-foot tall one that is on the left side. Their house, and by the way, this is to scale. This is how giant this project is, how oversized this project is. They have, and I'm estimating it's about a 3,000 square foot hardscape deck on the first level, which is not pervious. It is impervious, and it is going to cause so much rain overflow into the neighboring properties. They have a raised pool that is 13 feet high, and then they have their pool deck and their shade, their wood spike shades, which go next to my property over the 13-foot high pool that go another 13 feet. Taller than my house. The second story which is technically the third story because there's an understory, which they were asking for 3,000 square feet of exercise room, and they have changed it to removable panels. So the minute this house is finished, those panels can be put up and brought down, and put up and brought down, so that they can enclose the understory. Everything they're asking for is over the top and over the max. And they can't ask for the 3 feet because they did not appeal it. So if you turn to the second page, this is a current photo. You can see my house to the right. It's a little white house with a red roof. And you can see their lot, and you can see their drilling rig. Their drilling rig right here is about 120, 140 feet back from the front of the property. That is how high their property is going to be. From the street, they have a lower front that you guys made them move back because they had it right on the road. And then right after that, this goes up to 48 feet. And some things aren't counted, some things are. But they're asking for something that they need a waiver for, and they were denied a waiver for. And this goes, the lot is 200 feet deep. So this goes from 20 feet from the front of the property to 30 feet to the back of the property, 48 feet tall. Which means not only does my pool not have sun on it ever, in the winter, in the summer, my house will not get sun. My windows will not have sun shining in them. The neighbor to the north of me actually has shadows cast on their property. During the original hearing, I presented a shadow study. And we shouldn't have to be going through all that again because you guys denied this. This basically makes my property worthless. So, in addition,
I'm gonna have to
yeah, sure.
ask you to maybe,
Speed up, yes.
Yeah.
In addition, if you turn to the third page, this is their survey that they've presented. But if you look at their original project, and I didn't print this out because I figured they would be here with their project instead of trying to skirt you guys and go administratively. Their property is 105 feet wide at the front, 105. They took 1.5 feet of my property. They removed over 55 trees, some of them 20 feet tall. They removed several citrus, they removed a black olive, they removed a frangipani, they removed so much of my vegetation. And they, if you look, the next survey is my property, and you can see I've highlighted two areas. One which shows their construction fence 1 foot into my property, and that's the highlight that says 1.0, and you can see that chain link fence 1 foot into my property where they removed all of my landscaping without a permit. They did not have a permit to remove my landscaping because they cannot pull a permit to remove my landscaping. And then next to my pool, I have on my property a 6-foot chain link fence. That 6-foot chain link fence is mine. It is on my side of the property line, and they, in their plans and their permit application, are asking to remove that, claiming it's on their side. So in their plans, and you can see it in the file, they have noted on their setback and design page a property that is 106 feet wide. It is not 106 feet wide, and that is false, and they've submitted that full well knowing that it's 105 feet. So that needs to be corrected. Then, and I will stop in 2 seconds.
okay, thank you.
The other pictures are pictures of where the property line is and where their fence went. If you turn the page, you see 4 pictures. You see their fence post 1 foot, actually it's like 16 inches into my wall. You see my original hedge, and then the next page, at the very last page, you see my original hedge is removed. They have cut because they marked the property incorrectly to get the setback difference, they cut my gas line. So I spent 3 weeks without gas before I figured out that my neighbor cut it. They put a camera.
Ma'am, I hate to cut you off, but
Yes.
you're out of time.
Okay, I'm going to say one more sentence and then I'll be finished. They put a camera on my pool and filmed me for several months on my pool, and they had a fire. They are not appropriately handling this. They had a fire, and we had to use my water hose to put the fire out so that my house didn't catch fire and my neighbors' houses didn't catch fire. This should not be
We,
Thank you.
handled
yeah, I'm sorry,
administratively.
we've given you more than 10 minutes. We
Correct,
have
and
to-
this
I-
is my last sentence. This should not be handled administratively because it is barred by res judicata. This cannot be relitigated. This 3-foot height increase is a no, and they didn't appeal. And I am forced to go to the highest court that I'm forced to enforce my rights, which were solidified at that hearing.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let me ask you, I mean, this was my concern with the change in the ordinance, not allowing the public to come forth with these issues. What is our next step? What is your next step? How do you advise?
So last Monday, the city commission approved an ordinance that allows for understory homes to be approved administratively. It modified some height restrictions, so in several areas in the RS4 district in particular, the maximum height limit was actually brought down to 28 feet, and as well as in the RS3 district. The code does allow that RS3 properties that have a lot size over, I believe, 18,000 square feet are allowed to go up to 31 feet, and this lot does comply with that. So what can happen now is the applicant can vacate the prior DRB order, and they can submit for a building permit to achieve that extra height administratively. Staff will review that and for compliance with the code, make sure that everything complies with what's in the code, including design criteria that staff has to follow. And if they comply with everything, that can be approved administratively moving forward. So, yeah.
What about the concerns that she has about the encroachment? Is that something that you deal with, or code compliance?
We will look to make sure that that what is built complies with the setbacks that are on the plans and with the setbacks that are in the code. Our inspectors will go out before the property gets a certificate of occupancy. So that's something that we will make sure of. I'm sure if there's construction happening now, there may be framing and other things that appear to be encroachments that once the building is done, those get removed. So maybe some of those issues go away once the construction is done. But with the construction ongoing, it's hard to tell at this moment. This is one of the issues that came up with a house we had a couple months ago, that they provided a survey showing that those encroachments are just temporary for construction, ladders and different things, and framing for the concrete, to pour the concrete and things like that get removed.
And then, moving forward, to advise people, again, neighbors who do have concerns, to air their concerns, to write a letter, because I think that these are very valid concerns. I know I had a similar thing happen when they developed a property behind my house. They accidentally took down all of my foliage as well. So how can, concerned residents make their voices heard when they do have concerns? Like, is there a process for that yet?
So the ordinance did require that there be a posting indicating that there was an application, and it does have the requirement that they have contact information for the property owner, so they can reach out directly to the property owner. But they're always free to email staff, and we can take their concerns under advisement. We do have design criteria that we can use to perhaps request additional landscaping or other issues that may help mitigate the circumstance.
Okay, so administrative, so
Yes.
the planning department staff is who they can reach out to?
Yes, you feel free to email us your concern, yeah.
And that,
Okay, I'll check them out. I'll make sure that your emails are coming through. I haven't seen any myself, but I will double check.
Rogelio, so the postings that now will appear on homes that are requesting an understory that no longer have to come to this board as a result of the commission ordinance change last meeting, does have the posting that states not only the resident's name, or the property owner's name, but the contact at City Hall.
I haven't seen one yet, but I assume it will have
Because
City
if
Hall
not,
contact
it
information.
could be difficult.
I think
for-
we need to, it's just passed last week, so I think we need to
Okay.
work out these details,
right.
but I presume
That
that will
would be
be
my
there.
recommendation,
Yeah.
that it have the name and contact number for the person.
That's a good suggestion.
Now, I just quickly, while the person was, the adjacent donor was looking at this, there was an issue as to the width of the property. It's listed here as 105. For what it is worth, according to the property appraisal, it's 102.5 width of the lot. So that may have caused, maybe, if property appraisal records are correct, that may have caused some of the problems with trees being removed and chain link fences being removed from the owner's, adjacent owner's property. Also, just to make sure, so this new ordinance basically also changed the height, allowing it to go to 24 feet in height if it has an understory.
28 feet with an understory, which was the
28
same
feet.
code before. It allowed 28
Right.
feet.
In
And then
height.
and the DRB could approve additional
And
height.
31 feet in height with an understory if it's a bigger property, a bigger lot.
In the RS3 district.
I'm sorry?
In the RS3 district. RS4 district is always 28 feet.
Okay. And now, this lot, according to this, just to understand it, or this property based on this drawing, has a total up to the top of the elevator roof of 26 feet. I'm sorry, up to this line here of 26 feet, which is right before the elevator cab. And that's that line here. And then there's another 8 feet for the elevator, making it a total of 34. What am I missing here?
The
Because she-
understory is not.
Okay.
This height
goes-
measurement that you're looking at in this handout is not measured from the base flood elevation plus the freeboard,
Okay.
which is where we start measuring from. And the base
And
flood.
how much more would that be?
I can't tell. I'd have
Yeah,
to open
okay.
the plans.
So that's what adds to
Yeah.
the 34 feet in height, the
Helio-
understory and the freeboard.
Yeah, when it says 28 feet, that does not include the understory. It's 28 feet plus whatever the understory
It does
is.
include part
does.
of the understory. So the understory typically goes above the base flood elevation plus the freeboard. So part of it is typically included. It may be not the whole thing, but part of the understory will be included in that height limit.
So what's the easiest way to know exactly what, if you're standing in front of the building on the street, from the base to the top, how do we know what that
It
is?
varies because it depends on the elevation of the ground. The base flood elevation is
6 feet.
is 8 NGVD, minimum, and then you have a freeboard that can be up to 5 feet. And so depending on where the grade is on a property, that can vary. Depending on the sidewalk elevation, it can vary. So I can't tell you citywide what that's gonna be.
Okay.
And that's why it's
Their
not
sidewalk
fixed.
elevation is 6 feet.
And that's why it's not fixed ever, because it would be a lot easier for us if when you gave us the heights of things, it would be from the ground to the top as opposed to this plus BFE and freeboard
Plus
and all of
elevator
that.
thing.
Plus
This
like
is another-
all of
yeah.
that, it would just, I don't know, I think that's
when the
part of your
next one-
question too.
Yeah, when the next one comes up, that needs our approval, it needs to state where the height is actually gonna start being counted from. Because you just said it includes, it does not include the 24 feet or the,
If
or the 31 feet, does not include the base flood elevation plus the freeboard. And every base flood elevation is different depending on the street, and the freeboard is usually 1 foot.
So I believe this is
That the city requires, but you're saying
Right.
it can be up to a freeboard of 5 feet.
the architecture plans that we require do have that information. I believe this is something
Their understory is 13 feet.
drawn separately.
Plus
So
2 feet of floor.
So I have a question though, because I didn't get to ask. We had variances and/or waivers previously. Are those still in effect?
yes, so waivers still have to come to
Okay.
the DRB. So the next item that's going to come before the board has a
The
waiver.
waivers on this project though, is what I'm saying.
This waiver, when I looked at the plans, I did not see any waivers anymore. It previously had a
Okay.
height waiver that was
'Cause-
part of the code, that's now no longer a
Because
waiver.
whoever cares or is listening, I remember this, and I remember being very supportive of an understory. We were very, to your disappointment, saying this is just the way of the world happening.
Yes.
This woman is under a horrible situation where her pool, if I remember, is to the very north of her, very
It's
south
on
of
the
her
south.
property. Her pool's completely shaded now. She's right. Her pool and yard is completely ruined. So part of the waivers and variances, we asked them to move the house farther to the south.
So,
And again, with the code, whoever's listening, whoever cares out there, this idea that we don't count the things on the roof in addition to it is ridiculous, because this happens every time you have people coming to this board saying, well, it's maybe 24 or 28 feet, but then let's add another 6 or 8 feet for elevator stuff and all this crap on the roof, and before you know it, the building is 6 stories tall in a 2-story neighborhood. So this is what, a big problem with our code, Commissioner, you're here, it's so frustrating to the boards and to residents to not have it all out there in the open, that you can add this other stuff on the roof and make even higher than 28 feet. So this is a thing that we just don't seem to be addressing it straight on, so.
And just for clarification, I'm sorry, just at least for me, and hopefully for others, the ordinance that was amended basically still requires waivers and, what's the other word?
Variances.
Variances to come before DRB, but understories in single-family homes do not have to come to DRB, which is basically similar, different architecture of other styles don't come to DRB. But commercial understories do have to come to DRB. Okay.
Yeah, this only applies to the single-family district, so
Yeah.
anything RM1 and above still comes to DRB. And anything with a waiver will continue to come to DRB. So the item that we're going to hear next is an understory home. It has a waiver, so it has to be approved by DRB.
Any other questions?
So, yeah.
You know what, I have to close the
No, I
public
just
portion.
have a question. Are you telling me that they're dismissing the approved permit and going to submit another one, a new one?
They will likely vacate the DRB order and just submit for a building permit.
Okay, I would like to be copied on all of the legal, and I will forward to you a notice of appearance for that. because
I'm
I
going to
would like
request, we need to move on with the meeting to get in touch with them directly.
I shall.
So what do you need us to do now? Do you need us to do the continuance? What's
Just
the
if you
next
can
step?
vote to continue the item, they'd like to keep it on the agenda right now, but they will likely withdraw it before the next meeting.
I vote to continue, make a motion to continue the item till the next meeting in March.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Motion by Ms. Buttigieg, second by Mr. Diffenderfer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion passes.
As a general, considering the concerns that the boards have had when you do review it, please take those concerns about the height into consideration. Thank you very much. Okay. Moving on to previously continued applications.
Okay. So, the next item, DRB 24-1038, it's 1265 North Biscayne Point Road.
This application has been filed requesting design review approval for the construction of a new 2-story residence with an understory level, including 1 or more waivers to replace an existing residence.
Okay, so this, were you gonna say something?
Oh, I was just gonna ask the board before the petitioner, before the applicant presents, whether any of you have received any ex parte communications in regarding this application? All right, you may proceed.
Okay, so this is an item that's been before the board before. It's been continued for a few months. The first time they came before the board, there were some concerns regarding the massing of the home, in particular the second floor, that it would be too imposing on the street and too imposing for the neighborhood. As a result of the concerns, the applicant has revised the front facade in order to step back that second level. They had a screening brise-soleil in the front that they revised, reduced the height of it, that has significantly improved the design. So they've lowered the louvers on the front facade to minimize the scale and massing. They've provided larger windows on the second floor into the facade that are more visible. Given the reduced scale of the louvers, it works really well. And then the second floor of the west elevation was further recessed by 2.5 feet to create a larger balcony that extends along the majority of the facade. And this also has the effect of reducing the unit size slightly by 91 square feet. And so as a result, staff is very supportive of the changes, and staff recommends that the application be reviewed subject to the conditions in the attached draft order. I believe the applicant will be showing a slight change to the facade, and so I'll let them describe it and go through their presentation.
I had a quick conversation with Commissioner Suarez about understories, and this house was an example, but I didn't say that before.
Oh, as a disclosure, okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
Good morning. We have one member of our team that still needs to be sworn in.
Good morning, all. My name is Edwin Parada, and I'm part of the geodesign team, the architect firm of the house. Okay.
Do we need,
We need
Sworn in.
our architect to be sworn in before we get started.
Yes. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you will be giving in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, correct.
All right, thank you. You may proceed.
Good morning, Matt Amster with the law firm of Burkow, Riddell, Fernandez, Larkin, and Tapanez. Offices at 200 South Biscayne Boulevard in Miami. Here today representing 1265 NBP LLC, which is the applicant and owner of this property. And in fact, the ownership is really Yannick Ayache sitting in the front row. Our team here, and we do have a slideshow, if you could please bring that up. Edwin Parada from Yodazine on Zoom is also, go to the next slide, Renee Gonzalez, part of our design team. Andres Montero is our landscape architect, and my colleague is here, Mike Leonopoulos, who handed out our proposed change to the front wall. We'll get into that. Welcome to the new members, and in recognition of your hearing this for the first time, we might give a brief overview of the whole project just to make sure you are aware of the entirety. But we were here in October. Appreciate the comments that the board received, addressed them, and Rogelio laid it out very well. We feel that we've made appropriate revisions. We did come last month to be heard while there was no quorum. The three members that were here were gracious enough to informally listen to us, and we appreciate that because we also got some additional feedback, and that's actually where the front wall comes into play. This slide shows you our location, right where the property in yellow. We reached out to our nearest neighbors and obtained 3 letters of support. Go back just a second. The homes, number 1, and the home to our east, which is towards between us and number 3, is actually under construction. It was difficult to get a hold of them. Numbers 1 and that home to basically on both sides of us are new homes approved by this board in the past with understories. So as well as you can see across the street, the dry lot there is another home under construction, so the area is being redeveloped, and we are in context because essentially those 2 additional homes have understories next to us. Next slide. So why don't we go to the renderings I'm going to turn it over to Edwin to give you again that overview of the project for the new members. Yep, I think this is great, and then we'll discuss our changes.
Good morning, all. Well, the new construction home of 2-story levels features on the story level, right? The first habitable level is located on an elevation of 17 feet approximately. Okay, the first level features all the common areas of the house, and the second level includes all the bedrooms areas of the house, right? The front elevation includes contemporary designs that reveal or features combine verticals and horizontal elements. The facade is framing with some monolithic elements on both sides, and the design also features asymmetric composition. Okay. The main entrance of the house is located right in the center of the front facade that leads to an interior courtyard that is connected with the indoor areas of the house. Here is a view of the courtyard. This courtyard is open to the front and the east side of the property. And the same way that courtyard is also connected to the east side, okay, through a corridor. I will show you in the video. You will see the configuration of the space. You also have some other views. Okay, and this is the rear facade, which is implement like a more open design. Okay, all the common areas and the bedrooms and the upper floor are open to the ocean view. Okay, with an integrated covered terrace on both levels. Okay.
Why don't you go back earlier? Now to discuss the changes. Keep going. A few more. I think one more.
Right. So this is the original proposal, and what we show here is the different depths that we have with all the components that are in the front facade. As you see, we have different depths on the distance, on the placement that all these elements are positioned. The red ones are the louvers. The green ones are the monolithic elements that frame the facade. The yellow identify the glass partitions and also the main front door of the house. Okay.
I'm sorry, the yellow on the top of the,
Yes, the yellow
Reflects.
includes the glazing partitions, the storefront of the bedrooms, as well as the main door of the house. Okay. Good. So this is a comparison between the before and the after and the new elevation. We will see it on the renderings in a few.
Well, just to spend a second to make sure it's clear to everyone, the left side, the louvers were very much taller, covering a majority of the facade, and the windows behind them were also much more like clear story type of design for the second floor. And so not only have the louvers, if you look at the right, have been reduced significantly in height, but the windows on the second floor are basically full story windows, which does now mimic the same window pattern on the sides and the rear, the same pattern of the entire home. Those are the largest changes that we've made here. Continue.
When they're done, we'll have time for the board to ask questions. Thanks.
On the west elevation, we also incorporate a balcony all the way to the facade. So the upper side is set back 2.5 feet. So it's like to integrate the interior space to the outdoor. Okay.
Yeah, this side, which is the west side, we're requesting the waiver of additional open space. We have, obviously, the understory itself is fairly open at the bottom. And then we have a full-on corridor that goes east-west through the home, sure, right where the cursor is being shown. However, there's, habitable space above that rather than a full-on opening as the code guides us to provide without asking for a waiver. So in order to assist with providing, again, more privacy, more articulation and changes in plane, we have pushed, since the original design, pushed that balcony on the second floor. You can probably see it better in the next slide. To provide, again, you can see at the bottom, right, the brown areas are that balcony with an extensive, many feet setback from the wall of the building below, so that we further accentuate, and that's how, through design of openness at the ground level, balconies with just railings and a pushback second wall. There's a lot of change there. It brings our home further away from our neighbor. That neighbor has provided support, but still we provided this additional setback to accommodate the waiver. And all told, I believe we're only, I don't even think we're 10 feet wider than there's a 60-foot width when this waiver applies. We are not too far away from that with the home. It is a small lot, so we have that extensive, balcony at the rear, which does provide openness when you're viewing it from the side. So collectively, we feel that that's improving our side elevation for the waiver.
Okay. Edwin? This is a scan of what Matthew just said about the different depths that we have on the facade. Continue. Some axonometric views of the overall geometric of the building. Okay. This is a contest elevation with the neighbors. Okay,
And these are their proposed, already approved and under, at least I think they're both in permit, one under construction already. All right, these are the same renderings. Why don't you go to a few more slides later is the before and after from the rendering. Nope, the other direction. Keep going. Okay.
Good, great. So the new proposal, the revised proposal of the front facade address all the previous comments. First, the monolithic elements were redefined and were slightly reduced on the overall composition, so they look more sleek than the previous proposal. Also, the louvers were reduced in size, not only in height, but also in on the base of the elements. Okay, they're gonna go not all the way to the top, but it's to a minimum height for a railing in the upper levels. The bedroom has access to that balcony as well. Okay, we also incorporate the glazing storefront in the upper level, which create more permeability and transparency to the facade. Okay, so we believe that this change keep the aesthetic of the building, but also complying with the suggested comments from the previous meeting. Okay.
You want to maybe mention the materials?
Oh yeah, of course. You see the composition of the elements that we have proposed on the facade. First one here in the top is the composite material that we plan to use on the outdoor ceilings on the balconies. This is a stucco plaster, okay, that's going to be used on the overall walls of all the facades. The glazing material. This is the cladding that we intend to use for the monolithic elements. Okay. The metal, the aluminum finish that is going to be integrated on the roof line and also on the louvers, right? The wood finish for the main door, okay? And this is the material for the pavers and driveway. Okay.
And what's the material for and this is the new fence that you're
Oh,
proposing?
yes, it is intended to use aluminum material. It have to match the same finish of the roof. So the design is consistent.
But just 1 minute more that's exactly where we are next, is to, your handout is, we had an insightful comment from our informal meeting last month that the front wall, certainly as you go towards the west side, which is the left when you're looking at the front, was needing more character. So Edwin, why don't you explain these?
So in the previous proposal,
designed.
as you see that, we are incorporating some open space with these elements throughout the front fence, right? So we have a combination of a mix of these elements for the gate and also other knee walls with the same material that we are using and the monolithic elements in the front facade.
So that was a really great comment. The owner actually appreciated that and has gone forward and will basically ask for approval of the project, including the design of that front wall. And we would proffer a condition that, subject to what we have handed out today at the hearing, subject to review by staff, we think that is a great improvement. So with that, all we have is a short video. I know at the October meeting, there was a request to have a 3D animated version to give a bit more understanding of the project. So if staff could show the video, and then that would conclude our presentation. And this is the old wall.
Yes, the difference, you can see the difference here. Previously, it was a solid wall all through. Now you have some open space.
And you can see that open courtyard on the first floor, which is the upper right. So here you're now looking from the east side, looking to the west. This is the open corridor, and lots of openness at the front. And just, we respectfully request approval with our amended front wall as a condition to utilize that in our final approval. We're here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the audience wishing to speak? Members of the public? No? I'm now going to close the public portion and open it up to,
No hands raised on Zoom.
okay, I'm going to open it up to the board for discussion. At one point, when we get to when we're talking about the waiver for the side, I think for the sake of the new people, maybe explain what that is.
Okay.
But I'd like to, do you have some questions to ask the applicant?
I just had one question. I guess as being a new member, I wasn't sure. What was the original issue with the full height horizontal louvers on the front facade? Is it,
I can address that. We
yeah.
thought it was a little too imposing for the context of the neighborhood.
okay.
And,
We didn't have a quorum in January, so I think there were only 3 of us here that day. Maybe 2, I don't recall, but we just thought it would be a good change. And we gave them informal input into some of the changes that we thought would be required once it came for a formal review and presentation. And then we also asked about maybe cutting up the wall in the
So
front.
Fortress-like with the full
yes,
horizontal with the
yes.
louver? Okay.
can you pass around the materials board?
Yeah.
Scott?
I have to say that just the louvers being shortened made such a difference in the approachability of the house. I think it looks so much less fortress-like, so, and the wall as well, so thank you for that.
Yes, and I'll just continue to say I thank you. And first, we apologize, we didn't have a quorum last month, but we thank you for taking to heart the comments that were given, the recommendations, which were just that, recommendations, and I think they have improved the overall appearance of the front of your home, and we hope that you like it better as well. I think it just makes it more open and inviting, and still keeps the same idea of your architectural design. So we thank you for that, as well as the openings on the front wall that were done. As far as the side 60-foot length requirement that it have a opening, maybe Rogelio can explain that for the purposes of the new members.
Sure. The code has a requirement that you have a 2-story volume that exceeds 60 feet in length, that you have an open courtyard within that to break up that space, and that requirement for the open courtyard is that it have a depth of at least 8 feet, that it be regular in shape, so typically a rectangular shape, and that it be fully open to the sky. So from the ground all the way up, it has to be fully open to the sky, no overhangs, nothing can encroach into that. At the ground level, it does allow you to have some mechanical equipment, some other things, but generally the idea is that you have a break up the mass. Because that is such a strict requirement, the code does allow the DRB to waive that requirement, assuming they meet the intent. So the intent is to break up that facade so you don't end up with a huge mass wall adjacent to the property. So in this case, they're exceeding that length by 9 feet, and though they don't have that open courtyard, that facade is broken up. It's not a solid wall. It has windows. It has a balcony. It has other features that make that wall interesting. So because of the fact that they have all these elements and the excess beyond 60 feet is so minimal, staff is supportive of the waiver.
Thank you, Rogelio, and I think that, as you said, the intent is being met, although not to the letter, but the intent of breaking up that wall on the side, I don't know if it's south, north, west of the house, it does break up that wall and creates an openness, not just a concrete block. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'll just say thank you for listening to the comments in January too. Yeah, I think, I wasn't expecting our feedback maybe to be incorporated because it was simply a suggestion, but honestly, it looks excellent. I think that this is really inviting to the streetscape and just opens the house up more and brings a cohesive nature to the front facade too. So yes, I'm in support. Thank you.
Gabriel, do you have any comments? Okay, good. I like it. So I too, it was refreshing to see, first of all, I really like the fence. That was Maria, that's Justin. Thank you very much. And I think it really needed it because thank you for passing around the materials. I like the texture, but it is very heavy. So that was really nice. And I think it, it sort of gives an introduction to a bit of lightness and heaviness, which, the sort of brutalism is about playing with that. I appreciated the video because I kept thinking that interior courtyard was on the ground floor, but I see it's not. One of the questions that I had, and maybe this is for staff, you keep showing it as grass. I don't understand how grass is going to grow there.
It's going to be artificial grass. You cannot put grass inside.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
So it's going to be artificial grass. You cannot put real grass over there. It's not going to grow.
Okay, that was my one concern. But the plantings that you showed are going to be actual plants, or they're going to be fake plants? I mean, because I know you can grow.
We're going to have a study to put real plants, but we're going to see if it's feasible or not because you're facing south, so you have a lot of sun, and they might burn. So we're going to see. We're going to study it to see which way. But if we put fake plant, they're going to look more than real.
And then just so this is where okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that. And then the other thing that I wasn't sure about, is there a garage door or
Yes.
can you explain that? Because some of the photos had a solid, some of it didn't.
Yes, we have a garage door just under the courtyard, okay, and the finish is intended to be the same as the rest of the walls. So
Okay,
it's seamless.
that was my concern too, because I've seen that done wrong. So I'm glad to see that that's not that.
And just to clarify, it's 13 feet 7 inches further setback from the front setback. So it's not at the building wall of the courtyard where those planters would be and the louvers. It's
Further
13
back.
and a half feet further back.
Yeah. And again, it also seems right there that you have another section underneath the understory with grass.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think it's grass.
No, it's not grass.
Understory?
Yes, but it's not grass. It's the same intent that we have on the courtyard, but it's just an open space that is connected with the side setbacks because it's open.
Right. I mean, in this section.
Yes, it's probably part of the rendering, but it's intended to be used paverings that connect from the front to the open space and underneath.
Okay. But it's going to be pervious pavers. Okay, just making sure of that. Let me ask you a question. So I appreciate the reduction of the louvers and even the wings, and I do think that it's better. Did you experiment with having, I guess I'm going to call them the wings, the same height as the fencing and how was that?
We did 20 different versions of it, and it looked extremely strange. Extremely strange. Like we really did a lot of versions. This way it took us a little bit longer to come back, and it looked really strange.
And you mentioned that you made these wings thinner.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. A sort of lightness.
Also for the second floor, you said that you saw that obviously that we reduced the louvers, but we actually reworked the whole second floor to the left side, so which is whatever the west side was much more solid. So we completely opened it. We moved the balcony all the way around that we didn't have before. So really to address the 68 feet that we have, and also the heaviness of the second floor.
That's it.
So instead of trying to put the wings, as you call them, lower, which really when they sent it to me, I said, I'm sorry, we cannot do that. We need to find a better way to try to open it by changing this the whole left side when you look at the house from the front.
So it broke up the 60 feet requirement even further.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it seems too, what I like is that in the front facade, there's a lot more dimension to it with the setback. So I think that, I think that this is nice to see. Thank you for that. And then you also mentioned the, there's a really nice detail in the roof line that you're having the aluminum. You're also going to put that on the big white louvers as well? Is that what you said? Or no, they're going to be solid white?
We can develop that in the future, but right now it's just a rectangular louver. Something that we can discuss, but it's rectangular.
Okay. There was something I was going to say, and I just.
I think you discussed using the roof line material as well on the fence entrance, the wall, yeah.
No, I appreciate that you revised it, and I think that this is much improved. I would also like to add an amendment to the order that the materials that were being shown are indeed the ones that are going to be used.
Okay.
I believe there's conditions already in the order that call out specific materials.
Yes.
So, Roman numeral I.
Do any of the board members have any other comments?
D1, B, C, D, E, and F all talk about, and even G as a general catch-all, talk about our materials.
The design consistent. What
It's
we would
page
need is
2
a
of the
condition
order.
regarding the fence, that there be, that the plans be revised to be consistent with the wall that was presented today.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve with the condition that the plans are amended to reflect the new fence.
I second it.
Second, the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Lewin, second by Ms. Butacavoli. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Congratulations.
much. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, ERB 24.
ERB 24, 1049, 1470 Lincoln Terrace. An application has been filed requesting design review approval and a variance after the fact for the placement of air conditioning equipment with a required interior side yard setback.
Okay, so this is an item, it's a small apartment building located on Lincoln Terrace. It is in the RM2 residential multifamily medium intensity district. The applicant was doing some updates to the building and installed a central air conditioning unit in the side yard. The required side setback does not allow for central air conditioners as an encroachment in the RM2 district. They are allowed in single-family districts, they are allowed in the RM1 district, but unfortunately, they're not allowed in the RM2 district. That is something that the city is looking at potentially changing to take into account these situations. So they essentially have no other place where the air conditioner could be located. I believe the roof is pitched, so there's no ability to place it on the roof. The building is existing. It's a building that was built in 1950. It was likely originally built with wall air conditioners, and so they've been updating it to central air conditioning. So they essentially have no other place where this could go. So as a result, they need a variance from the required side yard setback, and staff is supportive of the variance.
Good morning, Board. Camila Osorio, consultant for the property owner. And just like Rogelio explained, this is an after-the-fact legalization that will lead to a 40-year recertification of the property and the closure of several violations. So we appreciate your approval and of the request. And we also have our architect that can explain any technical details that you may need.
Hi, good morning. My name is Paula Arrezola. I'm with PA Architecture and Design. I'm working with the owner on legalization of the location of these existing air conditioning units. And I have a presentation on 1470 Lincoln Terrace, and I will show you the location, and then I will skip to the site plan so that we can see where these air conditioning units are located. So this is just locating it on the road on Lincoln Terrace. And on this site plan, you'll see on the east side of the property towards the back, these are the 3 units that we are discussing. I have a close-up. This is the area where you can see them in elevation, on the east elevation. And in this section, we have a close-up of the area. So we are requesting a variance to reduce the interior side setback by 2 feet 4 inches. So you still have ample space to reach the rear side of the property, and it will allow us to keep the units plus the screening that is currently installed in at the property. This is a picture of what the units look like. If you see the view from the adjacent property, the units are screened off, and we still have enough space to walk around towards the rear of the property. And this variance diagram again shows that the required setback is 7'6", and we are requesting to be reduced to a 5'2" interior setback. And that concludes the presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Is there any members of the public wishing to speak? Anyone online?
Nobody's online.
I'm now closing the public portion. Does the board have any comments?
I have a couple of questions. Was there central AC units in the building before?
No, I believe that the units had a
Window units, okay. And I noticed in the picture that the compressors are not elevated from the ground. Was this done with a permit? Because I know the permit would require an elevation of those units.
No, I believe it was done a while back, and we cannot find any permits for it. We did speak and presented the drawing and the fact that they are slightly elevated, but not to the
To the required height.
Exactly.
So will this trigger them to bring up the ACs so that they're in the compressors, so that they are in compliance with the building code?
I believe they were installed on a platform, if I'm not mistaken.
On a platform, yeah,
They're
that's what
on
it
a
looks like.
platform, yes, but and you see them, and they're slightly elevated.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on a platform right
They-
now. They're required to have like a stand that brings them up higher. And there seems to be space in height between the top of the units, the compressors, and the windows above them. I don't know if that's beyond what we have to do here,
Right.
but
They'll still need to get a building permit, even though it's after the fact.
Yeah.
And if it is not compliant with the floodplain regulations, they will have to raise those compressor units.
And-
When I saw the plans, it looked like they were on a platform. I believe, from my knowledge, I think they're okay, but they will have to get approval from the building department on that issue.
okay.
And if I may, we've already also exchanged communication with the department that reviews flood plan, and everything checks out.
Okay, good. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's something that's needed in the building, obviously. And you do need to pass your 40-year certification, and congratulations on changing from window shakers to actual AC units. Rogelio, I feel bad because this is a common thing, that there's no this was a cost to the building to come to this board, and it cost him time and in dollars. And the reality is that it's something that needs to happen. I guess this is why you're going to amend the ordinance for this district as well.
Yes.
The zoning, okay.
We have an ordinance that's in progress. It was referred to the land use committee that we have a series of issues that we see repetitively that we're trying to address, and this is one of them.
Okay.
We have a lot of buildings that come before us, and it could be something, an air conditioner was installed 20 years ago, and now they're going in for the recertification, and are finding that air conditioner was put in without a permit, and unfortunately, we don't
Yeah.
have any recourse
Yeah.
but to make them seek a variance.
Okay. I don't know if I can make a motion to
I
approve.
think Scott wanted to say something.
Okay.
No,
Sorry, Scott.
I'm on the same page as you are, actually, and think it's a waste of everybody's time to come for something so simple. So if you want to make a motion, or I will make a motion, but
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Okay. Next item on the agenda.
Next item is DRB 24-1032, 110 North Hibiscus Drive. This application has been filed requesting design review approval for the modification of a previously approved new two-story home, including one or more waivers and a variance to exceed the maximum unit size. Specifically, the modification includes a modification to the unit size per the requested variance.
Okay, so this is a home that was previously approved by the Design Review Board in 2022. They did receive 2 waivers. The home is currently under construction, and so as they've proceeded, they've noticed there have been some revisions, and we've noticed that there were some areas that were not counted as part of the unit size that should have been counted as part of the unit size. And so this causes them to exceed the maximum unit size by 168 square feet. It is very minimal. At this point, it would be a significant hardship to modify the plans and reduce that area. So they are seeking a variance, very minimal variance for 168 feet. And so staff is supportive of the variance and recommends that the Design Review Board approve the variance. And the applicant will show you the specific areas, but it's basically a small area on the second floor that was incorrectly not counted and should have been counted.
And this is just a variance for an additional 168 feet in unit size.
Correct. So.
Ralph Choef, architect, Miami, Choef Levy Fishman. Yeah, this is 100% my fault. I take full blame. The house is almost completed. It's built. And it was discovered, the reason for the original 2 waivers is this house was originally constructed for a quadriplegic woman, or not constructed, designed for a quadriplegic woman. So the elevator had to access not only the garage area, but then the first floor and then the second floor. And so it had to be put more forward than the city likes elevators to be put in. I forgot what the second waiver was for, but it was a minimal waiver. It meets all requirements. Otherwise, it wouldn't need any other waiver. So we came to the DRB, and we originally got an approval. Then we came back before the DRB again because of the side street. Could you put up the plan? Oh, I'm sorry, go back. That's the rendering. The piece of, that you see on top was the elevator as it was approved. Could you go to the side elevation, the street side? That's the street side elevation, which is a side street. And it's a mixture of board form, concrete, stucco. This waiver was, I think it was for ramps that we needed in the front. We don't need them anymore, and we replaced those with reflecting ponds. As well as the house is required to set back 15 feet from the side street. We set it back 17 feet from the side street. And then when the house was already being constructed, could you put up the pictures of the house as it exists right today? They asked us to go back an additional 5 feet, and we had for 50%. That's the house today. It's not finished, but that's the construction. As you can see, it's going to look like the renderings when it's finished. The railings you see are just temporary right now there. Anyway, we were required after the fact to set back an additional 3 feet, I should say, because for 50% of that elevation, you have to set back 5 feet. We're granted the variance there. That's the second variance that I remember. And so it was discovered that the elevator was not counted originally, and then 100 square feet, that was 68, and then 100 square feet of the second floor wasn't counted. Again, my fault, and it was discovered by the city, and we're here to beg for mercy. I don't know what else to say. It would not have, if we were to remove that, it would not have any impact on the neighbors, as the elevations wouldn't change. We would have to change it from the rear. So it has no impact on the neighbors whatsoever, aesthetically or physically. That's my presentation.
Thank you very much. Are there any other members of the public wishing to speak? Anyone online?
There's no one online.
Okay, great. I'm going to close the public portion and open it up to the board for comment. Who would like to begin?
I'll just say, I believe Ralph, and we all make mistakes. I just got to say, going forward in the future, you know, that mistake is valuable to probably $250,000 for the property owner. And if we have this go forward, I mean, I think there's got to be some kind of mechanism in place. Again, I believe you, Ralph, and I know you've always been a straight shooter with us. So I'm not going to oppose this, but that concerns me going forward, because everything's a slippery slope and everybody pushes for the maximum variances and blah, blah, blah. So,
For the record, this is an end user. This is not a for sale house, but I do understand.
well, we hear that all the time too.
No,
And
no, but
sometimes they
this
hit the
really is
market
for an end
before the
user.
meeting's over. So I'm not, no offense, but that
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So that's all. That's my comment. I mean, we all make mistakes, but this is a big financial incentive for people to do. So I think we need to come up with something for the future.
Yeah, that's what I was feeling as well when I reviewed this. And then I went past and, yeah, it's very close to being done, the house. So that's why, and also, you know, based on what we've seen before, I was curious to know what happened. I agree with Stott. I'm concerned. And in this case, I'm supportive, but I do have concerns about setting precedent.
I don't disagree with the rest of the members of the board. Unfortunately, at this point, I don't think there's much of a recourse but to approve the variance for the additional 168 feet of unit size that will bring it from the 50% that's allowed to 51.7%. And just one question, you said that this house was designed for a paraplegic, but yet, and the reason for the elevator, one of the reasons for the elevator, besides getting everybody else that will live in the house up and down the home quicker and easier, there doesn't seem to be any other design features for a person who's paraplegic, being going into the pool or going into the garage, this entrance of the house.
So the house, as originally designed, had ramps on the front of the house and the rear of the house, and had a ramp inside the pool to get into the pool. The new owner, because they were not quadriplegic, we removed the ramps and replaced those with reflecting ponds. We removed the ramps out into the pool and in the rear. The interior of the house was designed to accommodate a quadriplegic, and it was slightly modified on the inside for the new owner that didn't need those accoutrements. So, yeah, the house was originally very, we'll call it friendly towards the disabled.
ADA.
Comment? Oh. Okay.
If there's no other comments, I'll make a motion to approve the variance of 168 feet in unit size for the property at 110 North Hibiscus Drive.
Do we have a second? Second, okay. Second by Mr. Lester. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
I
Congratulations.
appreciate the board's leniency.
Don't do it again, Ralph.
Moving on to new applications.
The next application is DRB 241033, 6470 Allison Road. And this has been filed requesting modifications to a previously issued design review approval for the new construction of a two-story residence, including one or more waivers, to replace an existing home that was subject to a planning board lot split application. Specifically, the proposed modification involves expanding the lot to the south, which will allow for a larger building footprint at the front of the property and the addition of a paddle court, including one or more waivers.
Okay, so this is a home that was previously approved by the Design Review Board in 2022. The home received the property received a building permit in 2023, and so the home is currently under construction. Subsequent to that, last year, the Planning Board approved a lot split for the lot that is immediately to the south. And that lot split was odd because typically we do a lot split and it's to result in more homes being built. This one resulted in the land of that lot being divided amongst the adjacent property owners. So this lot grew by half the dimension of the adjacent lot. So as a result, they're seeking a few modifications to their design as a result of the fact that the lot is now much larger. So they are seeking to extend. They had essentially a northern wing and a southern wing adjacent to a motor court is the way the home was designed. That southern wing of the home that's adjacent to the motor court, they're expanding it to the south somewhat in order to allow for a larger gym and an additional guest bedroom. And so this home previously had a waiver for height to allow them to go from 27 feet to 29 feet. And so that waiver will be extended along this new very small addition to the front of the home. The addition is being designed so that it's compatible with the architecture that was approved by the board. So staff has no concerns with this addition, and staff is supportive of the addition. Additionally, they're going to be building a padel court on the south yard. Most of that padel court is going to be screened from view from this small addition to the home. So staff has no concerns there. The court will have to comply with the requirements in the code for lighting and other fencing requirements for court games in single-family districts. So it's a minor change to the home, and staff is supportive of the modified design of the home and recommends that the Design Review Board approve the application.
Thank you.
Good morning, Nicholas Rodriguez, 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, from Burkow, Radel, Fernandez, Larkin, and Tapanez. I'm joined by Kobe Karp, the architect. We also have our landscape architect on Zoom, Tyler Nielsen. And we're here representing the 6470 Allison Road Trust, and really this is the Salter family. As Rogelio mentioned, while this home was under construction, they had their building permit, they were underway. This owner, the Salters, and the owners to the south, the Sidman family, they kind of collaborated. There was a vacant lot there. They weren't really sure what they were going to do with it. The Sidmans owned it. They decided, let's divide it among our properties, make our properties a little larger, add significant green space, improves our stormwater infrastructure, and that we went forward to the planning board, got approved for that application. And this home came before you guys in 2022, and here is just a modest expansion of their gym, an accessory guest home, addition of a paddle court, and then really expansion of the green space. Just to put some finer points on it, the lot grew by about 8,000 square feet. And I know you guys are well aware of this. Maybe some of the new members aren't as aware of it. When a lot split goes before the planning board and it doesn't follow the original platted lot lines, you get penalized on your unit size and your lot coverage. So instead of being able to achieve the maximum of 50% and 30%, you're reduced to 40% and 25%. Oftentimes, owners come to this board and then ask for a variance to exceed those requirements. We're not doing that here, so I just wanted to dispel that right away up front. This home is about 38% unit size, which is consistent with the median unit size of the neighborhood, and 23% lot coverage. So there's a lot of green space. It's a small footprint and really a modest addition to the home. And the other factor here is that the Sidmans, the owners to the south, their application came before this board a few months ago, and they just added a modest guest structure. They have a large green area on the north side of their property abutting this, so the paddle court is not going to impact their southern neighbors. They're fully supportive of the application. So are the surrounding neighbors that were all informed of the lot split application. Their letters of support were submitted, and as part of that lot split application, everyone's aware of what's going on. So as far as we know, there's no objection to it. So with that, I'll let Kobe kind of walk you through the small changes to the design, and we'll take any questions that you may have. Thanks.
Hi, good morning. I'll be brief because Nick, I think, did a pretty good job. The family grew. It's a young couple. and they keep on having kids. And so what we did here, if you can see the screen, and the landscape architect really did a phenomenal job, and you can see that the introduction of additional green and green space along the front helped it quite a bit. And what we did is we opened up the courtyard. You see the courtyard right here where it comes in, where allowed us to open up to the south. The pool area also with the landscaping, and gave us more green space along the water. The padel right here, and then we have 2 floors, and you can see, where's my other one? There it is. And upstairs there's a bedroom with a balcony looking back to the street, with glazing and so forth. And so that's the intent of the addition. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak? Anyone else? No? Okay.
No hands raised on Zoom.
Thank you. I'm now going to close the public portion and open it up to the board for comment. I can start. I see a very big difference between what was initially proposed and what you're proposing now when I go back and forth, mostly having to do with the color. Like, it's so much lighter. And so I have a few questions in those regards. Maybe it's just the rendering. I couldn't help but feel like in the original design that you proposed, there was this sort of interesting play of dark and light and open and recessed that doesn't necessarily translate into the new design. One of the things I really liked, and I'm looking back, I don't know if you can bring up, I don't know what page this is. Or maybe it's page 8 in the presentation, the previously approved DRB plans. Yes, that's it, thank you. That you have, these really, I think the overhang, I really like the dark pitch roof and the overhang. And then are you also doing that on the new one, or is that sort of gone?
Yes, Sarah, we are. We have a pitched roof on the new addition, and we are having stone on the face. It's the stone that we have on the rest of the house. So it is consistent in that, and we're having the same dark metal roof with the dark trim.
And the material, I guess on the eaves or on the soffit, is that also?
Yes, ma'am.
It's the same coloring?
Same.
Okay, it just didn't translate
Yes, you are correct. Yes, you are correct. Thank you.
And then how come, another nice detail, there was a nice symmetry to the sort of street side of the original, and with I guess it was vines. How come you decided to take away the vines on the garage, and it's just plaster?
A rendering. Sorry, it's just a rendering. We will have the vines going vertically on the facade of the garage.
But you stated that this was the coral or the rock that's within the property, just bringing it forward.
Correct. Yeah.
Wait, so is this constructed already? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, it's on Alcid Island, the house is up, and then they were able to meet with the neighbors and assemble the land. And then what they did is, you can see in the landscape plans, what they did is they added the green space in the front right here, the padel right here, the green space in the back, and then this addition turned around right here with a balcony facing the street. So the house previously stopped right about.
Wait, so, because I didn't have a chance to go and look at this property, is the new house being built or not yet? It's not there?
It's almost finished.
Okay, I see. So then that's why it's all the same. And you don't happen to have a current picture of what the property looks like
No, I don't.
to give us? Okay.
But it's as per the previous approval that we received and permit plans.
Well, it's just hard to know based on your presentation what's new, what's existing, how it's going to integrate, things like that. And
This is the previous that is currently built, and that's the addition. So the addition is this rectangle right here.
Right.
And the padel courts.
And the padel.
Right.
And the green space to the front and the green space to the back. But everything else stays the same.
And the facade of the house, where I guess it now shows stone, which is brought in from the inside of the house towards the front. Is that what is in the house now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not opposed to leaving it like that as one member. I like it better than the ivy growing.
Yes.
On that wall. I think that would make it darker, but
No, the client spent a lot of money and they put the stone on the outside face of the house. It looks
Yeah.
quite beautiful,
yeah.
especially with the sun
Um,
hitting it. It's gorgeous.
I do have one question, and I
Please.
guess it's more for Rogelio. Rogelio, on page 2 of the document that we received, on the very top, it says the height proposed is 31 feet sloped roof. The maximum allowed is 27. But further on, the last bullet point under the heading, the project on that same page, says a waiver to increase the maximum allowed height of 27 to a height of 29 for a sloped roof. So here it says 29 on that bullet point, but on the top it says 31. So what are we,
I apologize, I believe that 31 is a typo.
okay,
That's the maximum height for, let me go to the code section.
And just for the record, the prior order was 29, and I don't think the height of the home is changing, so it's 29.
Correct.
I think that's
We
a
agree.
typo. Good catch. So this is RS3, the maximum height. Is 24 feet for flat roofs, 27 feet for sloped roofs, and the DRB can approve a waiver up to, oh no, I apologize, 28 feet for flat roof and 31 feet for sloped roofs, so that is correct. However, they received a waiver to go to 29, so they could have
Okay.
received a waiver to go a little bit higher.
so we're now, I'm sorry. So the maximum they can go for a sloped roof is 31 feet.
Correct.
Previously, I guess it was less, or at least, they only went to a height of 29. Now
They-
they're requesting to go to the maximum of 31.
No, we're keeping
No,
it
no, no.
29.
No, yeah, we're keeping the same.
Yeah, that is a typo in that
Okay.
table.
So the
it should not say
proposed
30
should be
yeah.
29.
The
Okay,
you are
proposed should be
correct.
29.
okay.
Yep.
So all we are approving,
We listed the waiver because the addition will be taking advantage of the waiver that was previously approved.
okay, even though it's less than the maximum that's allowed.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
all right.
Thank you.
Is the front wall, is that a new addition too, or was that in the previously proposed plans, I guess the gate wall? I just didn't see that.
Yeah, we had the gate before.
You did?
Yes, we
Okay.
did.
Okay.
Yep.
And is that in the same stone as the?
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. And I see it in the renderings, but maybe I'm just not reading the planting plan correctly. I know that you said the south owners in support, obviously, they split the lot with you all.
Yes.
The Padel court, just knowing that there's the height with the
Yes.
walls, and I saw palms, but there will be like a shrubbery too, or a fence?
Yes,
To block the?
completely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if there aren't any other questions, does anybody, okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the height of the area increase to unit size by the Padel courts, and that, based on your comment, that there be landscaping provided around the Padel courts for the privacy and the beauty of, to the neighbors.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Butagavoli, second by Ms. Lewin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Thank you.
If I could ask next time, make sure to have a more complete presentation.
Yeah,
All especially if it's something that you're adding to an existing for us to see what we're dealing with.
happy to do so.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Great day.
Thank you all very much.
We'll make sure to request that moving forward.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
The next.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is DRB 24-1071, 790 Lakeview Drive. This application has been filed requesting modifications to a previously approved design review approval for the construction of a new two-story residence, including one or more waivers to replace an existing residence. Specifically, the applicant is requesting a design review approval for a two-story addition to the existing residence and a detached two-car garage, including one or more waivers.
Okay, so this is a home that was previously approved by the Design Review Board in February of 2019. It replaced a pre-1942 architecturally significant home. Those homes, because of estate preemption, are no longer required to come to the Design Review Board. However, the home also sought a waiver. As a result of the waiver, the home remains under the jurisdiction of the Design Review Board. So the home is here before us today because they are seeking an addition. The home is a waterfront property. It's located on the Surprise Waterway. And they are requesting to do an addition. The addition is a contemporary architectural style that matches the existing home. And they're proposing to locate it on the west and north side of the lot, replacing the existing garage and service suite on the ground floor, and then adding additional square footage above. It maintains the same style, including vertical slats, and includes similar rectangular forms. The applicant is requesting a design waiver for the two-story addition to match the previously approved waiver pertaining to the height, similar to the previous application that we just had. It's a height waiver. They're proposing to keep that waiver for the addition. And so staff is supportive of that waiver. And so with that, staff is supportive of the application and recommends approval, and we turn it over to the applicant.
Thank you. I do need to be sworn in. Let's do that.
Yeah, correct. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you will be giving in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, you may proceed. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for your time. As Aurelio mentioned, this is for an addition to an existing home that went before the DRB in 2018. It is located along Surprise Lake in the middle of Miami Beach, along Lakeview Drive. The subject property faces the waterway to the south, and the neighborhood is made up of a mix of one- and two-story traditional and contemporary homes. And directly across the waterway is the Ritz-Carlton Residences, which is a large structure. This is the photo from the street of the existing property. As you can see, there's a layered landscape that really masks the home. You don't see it, other than just the very top of the roof. The existing front property wall and gates, that will remain as is. It's not part of this application. That was what was previously approved. This photos of the existing front of the house as it was approved in 2018 and as per constructed. These are photos from after the completion of the construction, because the landscape has grown in since then and could not get a good photo, but I wanted to show you what the home looked like behind that landscape. And from the other side of the motor court, from the front of the property, the rear of the property facing the waterway and the pool, and then aerial photos showing you the massing of the home. It's a one-story pavilion towards the front of the street, set well back from the front property line, and then the second floor of the home has this curving boomerang shape pushed back further to the waterfront. So from the street, the home has a lower presence, and then as you proceed into the house, into this courtyard, then the home becomes a two-story home at the rear. Neighborhood's a mix of one- and two-story, as I mentioned, contemporary and traditional homes. The top photo on the left is immediately to the east or left of the property as you're facing from the front. And a mix again of one- and two-story. Newer construction as well. There's a large public park there in the middle of the neighborhood. And a lot of the homes have, landscaping that completely covers up the properties. The top photo is a recent construction. That one was going through DRB at the same time as this house did back in 2018. And the pink home on the bottom is immediately adjacent to the west. And of course, the Ritz-Carlton across the street. Across from the waterway from the property. Demolition, what we're proposing to do is interiorly, we're going to take the existing garage make that a playroom, because the family is growing and expanding, so they want to remain in the home, and thus we're doing the addition. So we're going to make that garage into a playroom. We're going to remove the existing driveway that goes around the side of the property and enters that existing garage, and then build the addition there. So this is the site plan from 2018 as approved. Motor court when you enter, driveway to the side, entering the garage, the one-story pavilion at the front with a courtyard garden that you enter into, and then the two-story home at the rear. And this outlines where the changes or modifications to the site are located. So you can see on the second floor, we've outlined where the addition of the roof is on the second floor. And then there's a new one-story detached garage located in the front yard off the motor court where the driveway used to be located. Ground floor previously approved, 2018. You can see the garage where the driveway comes to the side, the entry courtyard garden, and then the modification that garage now becomes a playroom, and we do an addition below that has, relocating the service suite that was adjacent to that space, and then a new office for the family, and then the one-story garage in the front. That addition of that volume to the side supports the structure above on the second floor. Second floor plan previously approved in 2018, and then with the addition here. The addition of one more bedroom, then enlarging the master suite to have more of a lounge area off the master. Roof plan 2018, and as proposed today. So we're working with the existing lines of the architecture. So instead of the home curving on the second floor away from the street, we brought that line forward. So it's a sweeping curving line, working with the existing architecture that we had in the past. Lot coverage, we are still compliant. We're under the maximum allowed. We're at 28.5%. Unit size, we are also under at 41%. The home in 2018 was approved at around just over 7,000 square feet, and we're at 9,400 today. We've outlined here in the two colors. The beige color is the existing footprint, and the blue is the addition for clarity. Front yard open space is compliant with the removal of the driveway and the addition of the garage, which encroaches just a little bit into that front yard space. We are seeking a height waiver of 3 feet. In 2018, we were approved for 27 feet total, so it's a 3-foot height waiver. So we're requesting this waiver so that we can build the addition and match those existing floor levels and heights for the home. So it'll be a seamless addition to the house.
So the addition would be at 27 feet?
Correct.
Okay.
Materials matches the existing from 2018. We have stucco on the second floor, stone cladding on the one-story volume at the front of the home, and then wood elements providing screening on the second floor in front of windows. And, excuse me, then a bronze-colored mullions with the glazing. Comparative elevations from the street. The top one was the previously approved and the proposed elevation. You can see the addition is highlighted within the red square. And then a rendered version of that. Again, showing the second floor, the addition of the wood screening from the glazing for privacy into those rooms. The side elevation to the west, where the addition is located. Top one previously approved in 2018, and then the current proposed addition below. And then the rendered version of that. We're applying the wood screening on the side as well to match the architecture. And then the one-story garage in the front, it's going to have similar material palette to the home, but at a reduced modest scale. We're proposing planters on the roof so that the landscape can drape over. And just your typical sections to allow for the matching of the heights of the floor plates, the first and second floor. And we are compliant in the front and side yards elevations. So rendering of the front motor court, this is showing it without the garage, so you can see the architecture beyond, and then with the garage added in. And then another view from the front without the garage, and then with the garage. As you can see here, this is what I was talking about on the second floor, that sweep of the architecture keeps the curves and the wood material in front of glazing. That concludes my presentation. The landscape architect and builder are available via Zoom online if you have any questions for them. And I'll open it up.
Thank you very much. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak?
No one on Zoom with their hands raised.
Okay, I'm now closing the public portion, opening up to the board for discussion. I have just some clarification questions that others might have as well. Actually, the first one is more for staff. If you look at, can you bring up page 32? It shows with the addition, the required, no, 32? Am I looking at the presentation? It's the open space diagram that shows the required side yard setback. It seems like there are, in the backyard, there are things that are encroaching on the setbacks.
The code does have allowable yard encroachments, so they're not allowed to have habitable space encroaching into the setback, but they are allowed to have roof overhangs, sills, and certain architectural projections. And so those are architectural projections that are encroaching into the setback that are permitted.
And it looks like the structure in the rear, is that already there?
That's existing, yeah. And the cabana does have its own setback to the rear, which is half of the home's setback.
Okay. Are you the architect of the original structure?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Okay. I also have, so let me ask you a question. It was because of the interesting curves in both the existing house and what you're proposing, it was a little hard to read, I thought, to read the proposal. I actually went by to take a look just so I could, because the fence was so high, it wasn't as helpful as I was hoping. But I guess one of the big design changes that you're making in the facade is the addition of even more of the wood slats. And it almost reads very sort of uniform, how I really liked how it is now, how you have this interplay of, stucco, like the white stucco with the rhythm of the slats. How come you decided to add even more? You're really committing to the wood.
Yes. Let me go back to the existing. So this is existing on the second floor. It does have the wood slats in front of the glazing on both the front and the side. I believe referring to the stone volume on the one story at the bottom on the left, correct?
Yeah, on the left, how it's just solid white.
Yeah, so that stone, it's actually a honed marble stone finish. That is going to remain, but we're proposing to put a wood screen in front of that. The homeowner is very fond of the wood screens on the home. And we thought that would make it more of a consistent facade versus having these different materials. So then when you go to the existing.
And then one thing that I noticed when I was standing in front of it is the wood screening on the second floor. You could it was spaced greater than it's showing in, I guess it's revealing in the rendering that there's windows behind it.
Yeah.
As opposed to on the first floor, it's a solid wall.
Correct. The first floor, the volume on the right was the garage. Let's see. So the wood volume on the first floor is on the right is the garage volume. That is just clad in eBay wood. On the left is, just inside the volume is the homeowner's office, and that's clad in a stone material. And that screen there just floats in front of it. So it's gonna be somewhat transparent. You'll see through it, the stone. And as you enter that entry courtyard, you'll see the stone on the left.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to recommend to have, especially on the top floor, to have it be as sort of transparent as possible. I think it was much more, especially because you're adding so much length to it, and it is going to be coming forward. And it didn't, there's some really interesting aspects to this original design, and I want to make sure that that is translated in the addition. although you're changing the volumes really dramatically. So that was going to be my suggestion, to make sure that the spacing is transparent.
Yes, it's our intent to continue, on the left on the second floor, that's existing screening. We're just going to continue that across the front, so it will be more transparent. It's not solid like the garage volume.
Okay.
And can you show the screen after this? I think it was that shows the proposed structure. Right, so that's going back to what Sarah's comments were. It's going to have the slats going horizontal versus the other ones are vertical. And up on the second floor, I think it's also vertical, correct?
Yeah, it is vertical on the residence. And we have a screen on the front of the garage that is vertical as well, in front of a window facing the street. Now, the garage door, we're reusing the existing garage door, and we're going to clad it in wood. And given that it is a paneled door that rolls up, doing it horizontally, we don't see those breaks. Otherwise, we'd have to cut it, and it would look like just like a bunch of stacked wood, honestly. So this was the most seamless way to do the garage door.
Thank you.
What are you planting on the roof of the garage? Do you know yet, or?
Well, I can let the landscape architect answer that for you.
Okay.
Chris, are you available?
His hand is raised. PJ, can you unmute him? Thank you.
I would have to swear him in first. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you will be giving in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, yes.
All right, thank you. You may proceed.
Okay, thanks very much. Christopher Colley, Landscape Architecture. It's an honor to be here. We were the landscape architects for the project originally, so it's wonderful to see it going through this transformation. And on the roof of the new volume, we're proposing a beach creeper, Arnodia littoralis, which is a wonderful native plant which will cascade slightly over the edges. It's very easy to maintain. It's one of our favorite native plantings.
Okay, great. Thank you, Chris.
I'm sorry, what was that native plant again? The
It's
name?
called beach creeper, Arnodia littoralis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Creates a green carpet that basically just cascades over.
Yeah, sometimes with those hanging plants, they don't look so well in execution, but that sounds nice. Thank you.
I apologize, I didn't, at the beginning, I skipped over to introduce myself. I'm Robert Moring, and with me is Francisco Yatto. We're principals of Domo Architecture Design. Our office is at 420 Lincoln Road, Suite 506. I'm also a licensed landscape architect, but Chris Colley is the landscape architect on this project. So we try to merge landscape into all of our designs.
Anybody else have any comments?
I make a motion then, no more
Oh,
comments?
actually, I do. Did you also contact the neighbors in the pink house next door? Because this is going to be pretty close to their property.
Yeah, we did not this time. We had discussions with them when it went before in 2018. Let me show you. Their concern at that time was at the rear of the property.
Well, it would be more relevant now because, what you're building is a lot closer to them. And that was one thing that I did notice in one of the drawings that show the property next to it, that this addition, it's going to be close. I mean, I know it's the proper set. I think that was why I had the question about the setback, to make sure that it was within the proper setback.
Their concern in 2018 was at where that cabana is in the rear yard. The other second floor of the home is on an angle. They just wanted to have the architecture not block their view to the Surprise Lake.
The peripheral view.
Correct, so that remains unchanged. We moved the addition towards the front, whereas along the side of their existing home. Because their master bedroom is on the back corner of the second floor.
Yeah, and the house is not as tall.
It's close to it, but not quite, because
Yeah.
additional 3 feet.
Okay.
Although there's
Yeah, that
existing
doesn't-
landscaping there that blocks the view that was there at the time as well.
Yeah.
The architecture, we made sure did not encroach on that view.
Yeah.
Like I said, that doesn't change with this addition. So.
And Rogelio, the property, the addition that you're looking for, I guess, to you, it's not encroaching onto the side setback.
It's not.
And it's not increasing the unit size or lot coverage beyond the maximum allowed.
Correct, we're under
Okay,
on both.
so all we're doing here, and then if the neighbor had a problem, it's always nice to get a letter from the neighbor saying, we agree with this. But if the neighbor had a problem, there was a posting on the property that they could have called or sent their concerns to. So if there's no other comments, are there?
Oh, may we note one correction on for the order, if you don't mind? There's just a typo at the end of the order on page 5. It says Coconut Lane Residence, and it should say,
New addition to an existing residence by Robert Morin, because we had the incorrect architect.
incorrect title there. Yep. So that's the only
Okay.
correction.
All right, so I make a motion that we approve the proposed height, the height of 27 feet for the proposed structure that meets the current, it's below the current allowed maximum flat roof height, but it equals the amount of height approved the last time by DRB.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion to approve?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Ms. Butagawali, second by Ms. Lewin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations,
Have a
thank you
great
very
day.
much. Okay, that concludes our meeting?
That concludes the agenda.
Okay, we'll see everybody on March 13th. Thank you very much.
And Rogelio, so far for next month's agenda, how many applications are there? Do you know offhand?
I believe it's 2. So it should be a quick meeting.
Okay.
Let me double check. It's 2 plus the 2 that we continue today.
Right.
But those 2 that we continue today
May not come.
may not come.
Okay.
So,
All right, thank you.
And Gabby went to get lunch, so your lunch should be here in a moment if you want to hold back, but if not,